Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the DJI Osmo Action camera. Been out since May of 2019. Started out with the factory firmware, worked its way up to the latest firmware today, known as firmware 1.10.00.40. Then they have apprentices. Some of the apprentices are different than others. Does that mean it's a different region or a different type of version? DJI knows all about that. So what we're going to be doing in this video is showing you how simple it is to update. Update is as simple as getting a card reader, putting in the SDXC card to whatever you have that will transfer the file. Place it in the camera. All you need to do is turn the camera on. It should go through its update. As you see, the light on top is blinking, red and green, and saying the words update. This is just the firmware file 1.10.00.40. We are now going to show you, once this is finished, how to refresh the firmware. It is best that you manually download your firmware to the card, then using the app. I have done this via the app, I have noticed a couple of issues with the camera. One thing I didn't do at this beginning of the video was look at the battery life. It should be on 100%, and this download 2 minutes shouldn't take no more than 2% life out of the camera. Why do we want to refresh firmware? Well, people are coming forward and saying, well, there's a battery drain. With D-Link, there is some type of grayness. With motor vlogging and a Sonova 3.5 millimeter adapter, there is a external mic concern, and etc., etc. So now that we have successfully loaded firmware, I don't know what my percentage is, but it looks like it's 100%. I'm going to go through and I'm going to see if it has everything on it. Temperature thresholds on high and so forth. So I got everything. In the about, we are on firmware 1.10. I am going to see I got the switch. I'm going to change my video to video because I was on time-lapse before. I want to see if I have 60 frames per second, and I do. There was a complaint that on your camera, this wouldn't go past 30 frames per second, and it did. So, the app update did do something to the camera. Well, I do want to shut it off. And like I said, I want to see how many percent that I'm on, that I use just by looking at the camera. I'm at 100%. That is excellent. Now, what if you have done it through the app? How can I refresh firmware? You cannot do it through the app. On here is version 1.10.00.40. I turn the camera on and I am updating. The only way you can refresh firmware is having firmware. I don't want to lose my card, so I put it back. And you're going to have this file. If you have version 1.10, you want to refresh because you think you got issues. This is the way to go. It's not rocket science, not hard to explain what this is, but it seems that a lot of people don't know what it is, and they don't have the refreshed firmware 1.10. I manually refreshed my version 1.10 back to the camera. It will not be allowed to do via the app. It has to go through DJI. Support Osmo Action camera. Scroll down to downloads. See the zip folder. Get it. If you got an issue trying to get it, post down below. We are almost done with the update. It takes a full 2 minutes. If you think changing the name to V0999999, all 99s, you're wrong. We are updated once again. We are now on 1080p. You notice I was on 4K at 30. So I am going to 4K. And I got my 60 frames per second. People out there say it's always good practice to factory reset your camera. Well, it's always good practice to take your SDXC card and format it. If you turn your camera on again, you're going to be updating the firmware. Make sure you take the card out. If you have spare cards, you can mark this down. What's on it? Firmware 1.10. Refresh. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope this video has helped you out in refreshing your firmware. Please show a like, comment, show that love.